Liverpool are looking to sign Brazilian midfielder Ederson from Atalanta, and in this video we're going to be discussing why that could be a stroke of genius and the trait that could make him the perfect addition to this Liverpool outfit. Let's take a look. If you are unfamiliar with Ederson, he is a 25-year-old Brazilian international who currently plays for Atalanta. He can play as a centre midfielder or as a defensive midfielder. Currently, he is playing as a centre mid for Atalanta, and he specialises in tackling and positioning. If we were to take a look over at this right-hand side and take a look at his heat map, he is just everywhere. And this is the trait that I was talking about when I mentioned why he'd be such a good fit for Liverpool. In fact, the way he covers these blades of grass really makes him a tenacious asset for his side. Now we can see that he enters his own penalty area, he enters the opposition penalty area, he can cover the flanks, he can cover both sides, but he also makes sure that he is dominating this midfield area, and that is what I'm so impressed with him on. In this current season with Atalanta, he has played 36 times, he's got 32 starts, and he's got 6 goals. Now for a centre midfielder, that's not bad at all. In fact, he's got 6 goals from a goal expectancy of 3.51, nearly doubling his goal expectancy, so he's able to take chances. And all of this comes together with a goal conversion rate of 16%. Again, for a centre midfielder, that's not bad when you're expecting your striker to have a goal conversion rate of around about 20 to 25%. If they're particularly good, it's really, really impressive. He doesn't get too many assists because he's more of a deep line playmaker. He's the pass before the pass, if that makes sense. But some of his metrics are so impressive. In particular, these ones, the defensive metrics. So 55% successful dribbles, not bad. He can carry the ball, all not too often, but he can still do it. 55% total duels won. And this is what was really interesting. 3.9 ground duels won, 1 aerial duel won per match. All of these are per 90. And again, 56%, 55%. Really, really impressive. Winning the majority of his duels. It's really, really good. And of course, he has played in some of the biggest matches in Europe. Most notably, the Europa League final where Atalanta won 3-0. And it was actually this game which really highlighted to me the impact that he could make at Liverpool. Let's take a look. This was the match that really highlighted to me the multitude of facets that Ederson has for the game of football in its entirety. And really, it was so many different jobs that he had to do. Not only was he perfectly happy with dropping back into a more centre-back role when his teammates had to go and cover one of the channels, he drops back perfectly here to make sure that there is even passing routes and opportunities for his teammates, but he's also perfectly happy with going forwards. And it's this versatility that I think, along with his extremely high energy, can allow for a better Liverpool side. Here he is right now. He's about to help with initiating a press. And in this particular instance, you've got the goalkeeper here with the ball, and Ederson's going to pin himself onto one of these Bayer Leverkusen players. And in this particular instance, if we forward it on once more, we can see that he's almost the second highest player forward. Remember, he's a centre midfielder, and it's this kind of pressing opportunity that I think Liverpool can really utilise, and it's the energy that I think Ederson could really offer this Liverpool side coming from a deeper position, and it gives this Liverpool side a much better dynamic outfit. Look how high he is, look how willing he is to go and initiate a press. In this particular instance, they're playing a man-marking system. Ederson can do that, but he's also extremely good at positioning himself in between certain players to allow for better passing lanes or even cutting those off when it's necessary. The fact that he's so high here indicates that he's happy with all of these dynamics, and it's this cutting off of the lane that allows for Atalanta to pin Bayer Leverkusen into this particular channel and force them then to go long, which then in turn leaves Atalanta with the ball and yet another recovery in possession. Brilliant. He's perfectly happy with passing, in particular first time passing. His vision is very good and his execution is something that I think, while it could be worked upon, is still to a very high standard. He is currently occupying this space in the middle of midfield, and I want you to keep an eye on Ademola Lookman here as well, because he's going to spin and beyond towards this channel. But just keep watching Ederson. He's going to receive the ball right here, and he's going to posture himself to be able to make a pass. He plays it first time through into this channel to allow for a 1v1 situation for Ademola Lookman and the Bayer Leverkusen right back. It's in this particular scenario that it allows Lookman not only to drive forwards and beat his man, that it allows Atalanta to get a free kick, but also it's the isolation of this duel that's most important, and the isolation does not happen if Ederson takes a touch and allows for the Bayer Leverkusen players to press him. Bayer Leverkusen were one of the best sides at winning the ball back higher up the pitch, and it's in this that Ederson has realised this and played it first time. The instructions that he's received from his manager have allowed him to adapt his game. Normally he'd recycle possession, but in this particular instance he looks for his teammate on this left flank. It's a perfectly weighted pass, and it allows Atalanta to not only get higher up the pitch, but to give themselves a little more breathing space. It's a fantastically weighted pass, and you might think that I'm making a little bit much of one singular moment, but trust me, he does this on a number of occasions, and it's very, very impressive. All of this while being a very good, dominating physical presence in the heart of midfield. Here he is right now, and we're going to focus on the physicality that he brings to this Atalanta side, and the physicality that he could bring to Liverpool. So he's going to try and intercept the ball, but he doesn't quite make it. Instead, his teammate ends up picking up the ball, and the ball becomes free. And in this particular instance, he knows that a player is behind him. If we just focus on that just for a moment, he knows that a player is behind him. That's why he's moving himself over to make sure that he can block the ball with his body, making sure that the player cannot get there. He needs to be there first, and it's his physical presence that allows him to turn and roll the Bayer Leverkusen player, allowing Ederson to come out with the ball. Now, this physicality is extremely useful, especially in the Premier League. You're going to need that physical attribute. You're going to need that presence in midfield, and that's exactly what he has with abundance. But is he happy with the job that he's just done? No. Instead, he's going to try and look for a teammate. And is he happy with that? Not at all. Instead, he's then going to make the pass and then play a run forwards. This is incredibly impressive. He sees the space, he sees the actual space between the two opposition players, and he's going to make that run in beyond. He's going to look for that channel. He's not happy with just standing in space. He knows he needs to use the energy to get his side further up the pitch. He knows that he needs to take advantage of the moment that he's just created. And in this particular instance, the ball doesn't get to him, but just look at the determination, look at the willingness to run, and look at the energy that he's got. It's the energy that I think he could bring to this Liverpool side, as well as his tenacity, determination, and physicality. A number of factors and a number of key traits that could be the difference for this Liverpool side. And if you ever wanted a proper example of his determination and his real willingness to work for the side, this is it. Take a look at this. So he is currently here on the outside edge of the penalty area, willing to initiate some kind of a press to allow for his team to pen Bayer Leverkusen into this corner. Instead, the ball gets played out, and instead it gets free. So as we move this on, Atalanta are now in panic stations. There is a player who's ready to hold the ball up, and there are going to be several runs going beyond. So we need to focus on how they deal with this defensive situation. Here is Ederson right here. He's going to realize later on that there is so much space in behind his teammate, so he's going to make a darting run. He realizes there's a player on his right hand side, and instead of just allowing him to run, he's going to run as fast as he can down that side to make sure that he makes that intercepting tackle. Look at this right here. He's man for man with this player, and it's about him being determined. It's about him being physically strong enough, pacey enough to be able to get to that pass, but also having that determination. And it's this kind of a mentality and this kind of just a general willingness to work for the side that I think would fit him in so well with this Liverpool setup. He ends up being able to recover the ball right here. He's just fantastic, wins the ball back, and this could have been a horrendous situation for his side, being left far too high up the pitch. And unlike other midfielders that might feel like it's somebody else's duty, he takes it upon himself. With the stamina, with the physicality and the pace that he has, he took control of the situation, and that is a fantastic trait to have within a side that's willing to go for the highest honours. He truly has a number of different assets, and look at him just clearing the ball right here, taking charge of that situation. It's so incredibly impressive, and it just adds to, like I said, the multitude of facets that he has in his game currently. As for how he fits into this Arne slot, Liverpool, I think he's going to be perfect as a centre midfielder. As I said previously, he can play as a centre defensive midfielder, and perhaps it's the flexibility in that role and in himself that could allow him to be more of a hybrid, dropping deeper in between the centre backs to receive the ball, to allow them to go forwards, but also allowing Curtis Jones to be unleashed somewhat, Curtis Jones or a player of that ilk to be able to go forwards. It's through the flexibility of build-up that I think, the ever-expanding build-up that I think Arne Slot is going to have in this Liverpool side, that Ederson could be a perfect part of. Not only could he move a little bit more centrally to allow Curtis Jones to come forwards, perhaps even Trent to come into midfield to be able to play those passes over. We've also seen the left-hand side move infield a couple of occasions as well. Ederson has the ability to really utilise and facilitate a number of different rotations, but also from the actual images that we've seen, we can also see that Ederson is more than happy in going forwards and initiating some form of a press. It's in this and in this 5-5 split that I think Liverpool could find a number of different balancing opportunities, and Ederson is going to be a perfect linchpin for that, to be able to allow Liverpool to really build a squad around dynamic, physical and really rotational play. Let's take a look at some of his statistics as well, because while they're not the flashiest, I think some things really do stand out to me. Number one is progressive passes. Whenever you have a midfielder that's willing to go forwards and willing to play those risky passes, it's extremely important and very, very positive. Progressive passes of 6.56 per 90, that puts him in the 81st percentile in Europe's top 5 leagues in players in his position. That's really, really good. And then you've got tackles, interceptions, blocks, things that you're wanting to see from your defensive centre midfielder to allow for the creation of the one that's positioned next to him to be able to go forwards. As I've mentioned, he's very good at pressing, he's very good at being that tenacious, hungry player to really hound down a player, make sure that they're able to win the ball back as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And in this particular system and in this particular role, I think there's one player that he would be the perfect replacement for, and for me that is Endo. In fact, let's take a look and compare both of their seasons, Endo obviously in the Premier League and Ederson in Serie A. And we can see already that he's a younger version of Endo, a defensive midfielder. He's taller, he's got a little bit more physicality about him. But if we were to look actually at the heat maps here, the season heat maps for both players, while Endo is more concentrated in the centre of the pitch, what we're actually noticing is that Ederson covers a lot more ground. The surface area is a lot greater, it's a lot wider, meaning he's using his energy to get himself further about the pitch, not necessarily concentrating in certain areas. And that makes a lot of sense considering the age difference, but also Ederson's added physicality and stamina. Here we can see that he played more minutes, he had more appearances. Again, normal considering Endo's age. He has more goals, he's more of a goal threat. Now, I don't think Liverpool would necessarily be looking at him to be a goal threat, but it's very nice to have, isn't it? Just that added bit of flexibility. Not necessarily too high on assists, but it's one more than Endo. Higher expected assists as well, but these aren't the statistics we want to be really focusing on. It's the defensive attributes we want to be looking at. 1.1 interceptions per game, 2.3 tackles compared to 1.7, 0.5 dribble pass in comparison to 1.4. This is a massive difference. Ederson can win challenges and predict where players are going to go. He positions himself in correct situations, and that is massive. Successful dribbles as well. Ground duels won, we've been through this, but it actually dwarfs what Endo is able to do. I think he is the perfect replacement for Wataru Endo, and it's the physicality, the domineering presence, the passing range, and just the stamina that he could bring to this Liverpool side that could really change the way that this Liverpool midfield could set up. Ederson is a gem, and I really think Liverpool should go for him. And if they do, they might have a bit of a steal on their hands, considering the prices they're willing to pay. It just seems to make sense. Bit of genius, if you ask me. And there you have it, guys. That is what I believe Ederson could bring to this Liverpool side. But of course, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Would you like to see him at Liverpool? And if so, how much would you be willing to pay for him? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. And I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care.